just as awesome. Just to reiterate the format, everyone's going to have, all the candidates are going to have a chance for a 30-second opening statement. Then you have a chance to pose a question to another candidate. You have a minute to pose your question, they have a minute to respond, you have a minute to respond, and then they have a minute to respond finally. If you don't want to pose a question to a single candidate, you can pose a question to all the candidates. You get to answer that question, but you don't get to rebut anybody's answer. So, does anyone have questions about that so far? All right, and then there's going to be an open period after for questions for all the candidates. So, I'm going to be giving a 5-minute warning, or 5-second warning, sorry, so I'll just hold up my hand so you can keep an eye on me so you know when your time's almost up. I'll count down for the seconds, and then you get to finish your sentence at the end of that, but then, unfortunately, you have to stop after your minute or 30 seconds. So, all right, anybody, any questions about anything? All right, we'll get started with the at-large candidates then. We'll get going with opening statements from right to left here whenever you guys are ready. Here? Yes. Sorry, that's left to right. I was facing the other way. You start, then that way.
So I can start right
You
now?
can start.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shipra Sharma. I'm currently in my third year pursuing joint major in communications and interactive arts and technology and a business minor in BD School of Business. I've been actively involved in SFP community in various projects and clubs. My mission is to develop an engaged, transparent, and accountable foundation for sustainable community building. My vision is more the people involved, better the community becomes. My involvement in student-led initiatives have helped me in gaining invaluable experience, which I plan to use to develop the society by engaging the community to the best of my abilities and moving forward the concerns of these students to the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shobal Goel, third year international student pursuing communication. As per my knowledge, one of the main duty of at-large representative is to shorten the communication gap between the students and the SFSS society. So, if elected, my main goal would be to work with different DSUs and SFUs to shorten the gap and also provide new events so that they can socialize and communicate within them. My goal is to promote we culture instead of I culture. Thank you.
I'm Curtis Puke. I firstly want to thank everyone for coming out today to support all candidates and to make an informed decision. I am a fourth year major studying criminology. I am the current vice president of Society of Arts and Social Sciences and Tau Kappa Epsilon. I've also been involved in the advocacy committee and many of its initiatives. I just wanted to say my biggest goal is to provide outreach and bring to the table what students want across all faculties.
Okay, Shipra, you can start with your question. Do you have one for the other candidate?
Why do I have who's not here?
You can pose a question to everybody, or you can forfeit your turn if something.
Okay, so my question is for Curtis. We talked about that you want to effectively recruit and manage volunteers for the society and events of the volunteer program. There's already SFP volunteer services, so do you plan to work with them or you want to have your own volunteer program?
Right, excellent question. Volunteers operate now, but the SFSS is struggling with actually outreach to volunteers and maintaining volunteers. There's two different issues. The first issue is actually getting volunteers to sign up. The second issue is actually making them want to come and volunteer. Second one can be remedied by simply putting more funding into volunteers, giving them more benefits to being volunteers. The first one you can do through creating a database or having effective mailing lists to send out to volunteers. And yeah, I would probably have to work with volunteer services to get this done.
Do you have a response for Curtis? Oh, you can pose your question.
So my question is for Curtis is that he talk about Beat Letter organization. So I just wanted to know how you're going to remove the barriers for participation in Beat Letter organization.
Another excellent question. Greek letter organizations, I'm part of one. I'm vice president of one. We've had a lot of struggles on campus. We've shown through the process people in the community. A question for Shubal. I was wondering, what does being transparent mean to you?
Just wanted to ask, being transparent or SFSS?
Just what it means to you as in on your platform.
In my platform, it means that as a transparent, I mean by basically letting people know what SFSS is, because when I was campaigning, I talked to a lot of people and I asked them about, do you know what SFSS is? And most of them were saying that I don't even know what SFSS is. So being transparent means letting people know what SFSS is. Being transparent of what we want to do for them and what SFSS is already doing for them. Letting them know that how SFSS works. So that's all what I want to say about transparent.
Do you have a response, or? Do we have any audience questions for any of the candidates? Go ahead.
Hi, this question is for all candidates. What is your viewpoint regarding Build SFU? Thank you.
Did you have a particular order in which you'd like them to answer, or just whoever?
Up to them.
I'll start. Okay, so Build SFU is SFU's current biggest project on the table. The board is actually mandated to further it in all its entirety. I am for the project personally because of the fact of how big student engagement is to me. Going against the project would go against everything I stand for. Build SFU will give student engagement a huge boost with club rooms for a bunch of different DSUs, FSUs, and student organizations. There's huge benefits, and denying it would be a huge mistake in my opinion.
For me, I support Build SFU because it's going to provide a lot of opportunities for students, more spaces to study, and a lot of new events can happen. I support it.
In my opinion, since already there's a lot of investment has been involved in the Build SFU project, and still, as long as it's something in the interest of the society and if it's benefiting students, then why not? It would not be appropriate on my side to deny it. So as long as if something students are getting out of it, because that leads to more space expansion, and more investment has already been put, and it's currently in the project, like it's currently right now being in the process. So I favor it.
Thank you.
Next question.
I have a question to Curtis. You just said that you want to create a volunteer base, and then you reach out to them through emails and everything. I think currently we can run mostly we have an email list and everything and sending emails out. Don't you think it would be another way?
With volunteers in the works right now. So another good question. At large means to me is representation across all faculties at SFU and all campuses. So there's faculty representatives like arts representative, which represent the arts community. At large represents everyone.
For me, at large basically means to help students in whichever way possible and work with different DSUs and departmental student unions and SFUs to provide better opportunities to students. So that's at large.
To my understanding of the position, what I was told was that it's a very flexible position and you can take up any projects of your choice. I will be supporting the executive directors on society operations, holding events and launching campaigns. I plan to sit on events committee and granting committee. And since there's flexibility of the project, so depending on how the board, like whatever the people who get elected on the board, when the motions get passed, what projects they choose, I'll be helping in them. Also, I'll be facilitating the clubs, the DSUs, and the faculty reps. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question. All right, we can go with closing statements. We'll go in reverse order this time, so participants start.
I want to again put forward my gratitude towards the candidates and audience that showed up today. With my experience with outreach and understanding of student issues, I'd be a good representative across all faculties. I am a candidate with the knowledge to get things done. I am also a candidate with realistic goals. Vote real in the election and let our team of responsible, accountable leaders be your voice.
To sum up, I would like to first of all thank you all for coming for the debate and supporting us in such a way. I would like to say that thank you, and please vote as your vote makes a difference.
Thank you so much for the opponents coming out and everybody here. I hope to bring change, and that is only possible with your support. I will transfer the skills I learned and use my experience in fulfilling the goals to help make SFSS the better close-knit aid community. Since a part of student tuition fees goes to SFSS, I want to make sure that their money is utilized in providing them the best possible resources. My experience is my biggest asset, so let me be your voice and I will get the work done. Thank you so much.
We have our Communications, Art and Technology representative candidate. Can you start with your opening statement whenever you're ready?
Good morning, thank you all for coming. My name is Salito R. Wells. I am an international student from the Bahamas, and this is my current first year at SFU, but the second year technically in terms of my credit count. And my goal as Faculty of Communication, Art and Technology representative would be primarily to increase a greater sense of community within the FCAT community at large, because at first I feel like FCAT in general is a community that feels distant from each other just because of the distance, and hence distant from everybody in SFU in general.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
As you're running unopposed, do we have any questions from the audience?
Yes.
Sorry, what different departments?
Primarily at the moment we have the Department of Student Union and School, as well as the communication, variety of things. And then my whole idea is that everybody who exists here through a larger sense of community amongst us. Because right now, as an IAP student, Interactive Art and Technology, I would very much like to be involved with, say, a film major, because a lot of my courses do involve filming. And then, for example, I would also like to be involved with people who are in the music industry as well. And if we can have this greater sense of community amongst ourselves, then that can further enhance our personal projects as well as our personal, maybe, business ventures in the future as well.
Any further questions?
Yes.
I have a quick question. I think there are either 4 or 5 campuses downtown. How do you plan to integrate these people with their far-flung cousins up at Surrey and Burnaby?
Yes. On my platform, actually, I speak to that effect. My whole idea is, firstly, because we are living in a technological society, and because myself, studying in the Interactive Arts and Technology program, I am one very much for the use of technology. And because distance and space is something that can easily be remedied, or in the past remedied by the idea of transportation, now it can be easily remedied to the idea of social media today. So with the head by FCAT community, FCAT persons, FCAT community in terms of the students, and then on the Facebook community. A little bit of into the SFU community. We are
Help integrate and bring everyone together. Thanks.
Do we have any questions from the audience?
So what are some of the initiatives you took this year for your student union that kind of help create the sense of community that on the platform we're looking at?
Yeah, great, thanks. Yeah, we've done a lot this year. We've, for concerning, talking about events specifically, we've had the CSS Microsoft Tour Ambassador, which is a big Max Music. We've worked together on other smaller events like Pi Week, or just a whole bunch of these little things that I think gives meet each other, socialize, get a chance to know somebody from a different major, different ideas, different viewpoints.
Thank you. Any further questions?
how do you plan on promoting interdisciplinary interaction between both inter and intra faculty?
For faculty, we can continue to keep doing some of these events that are really practical to students. So for engineers and comp, so that could be some kind of robotics competition. Programming on one side, building on the other. Battle bots. For inter, there's lots of overlap with, especially within math, like for sciences, especially with math. There's MACM, it's basically computing math. We have joint events and joint projects that the science representative and other DSUs to see how I can help them.
Thank you. Further questions? Okay, you can go ahead with your closing statement.
Yeah, like everyone said, thank you all for coming out and asking me these interesting questions. I've got quite a bit of time on my hands for the next year. I've got only done about 6 classes, so I have a lot of time to work with my membership. I have lots of experience. I have no issues.
Without that experience, I have seen some issues in this.
Hello everyone, my name is Hang Kim. I'm running to be your next business representative. I've been involved within the community at SFU with my involvement with SFSS as well as my involvement within the business community. I'll be representing the nationals team coming up in May for Enactus, as well as I was named top 25 under 25 for the city of Surrey. So I think I have the necessary experience as well as the community support to effectively perform this role.
Ashley, do you have a question closing to me?
Yes, actually I did. Hang, you have read in your platform that you also want to engage more students. As just a general point, you want to increase transparency. So how do you plan on going about doing so and connecting with more students?
Yeah, great question. So currently the SEO, which is the student engagement, does a great job in communicating.
Actually, just curious if you can expand on how you plan on doing the engagement and increasing transparency with SFSS and business students.
Okay.
Specifically.
Yeah. So currently, my friends are executives in other business clubs. My friend was currently elected as Vice President, Daniel Love, as well as past presidents Jessica Perez, as well as current presidents of Finance Club, SMA, etc. So I plan on collaborating with them together because in business, you've got to create networks. And that's something that's really important within the business faculty, and I think that if we focus on developing events that tailor to these students, that's going to benefit them tremendously. Yeah. So I saw as well as the potential problems a DSU can bring to a faculty.
Well, currently we have a bunch of student clubs that are concentration specific and compared to other faculties where we have specific departments within that faculty. We don't have that with departmental student unions. I think one advantage is right now a lot of business clubs are looking for funding, and in the past a lot of candidates have said I want to increase funding, but I think an issue is that where are we going to get the funding from? Currently in the SFSS that we have DSU funding, which is a lot more than club funding, and I think a huge advantage just in tackling that one problem would be increasing the pool that they have access to for funding. But I think another problem is the actual establishment of DSUs themselves, because we can't, like as business representative, if either you or me were elected, we can't just say, okay, we're going to have a DSU. We need to get faculty approval, we need to get policy reform, we need to amend the constitutions of those clubs to be appropriate for said DSUs, and we also need to make sure that all the students are for this and not against it.
Good answer. I just had a question about the drawbacks and problems regarding a DSU. So I did some consultation and I discovered that business students currently pay around 3 levies, which is paid to the SFSS, to SFU, as well as to the business faculty. So if we bring in another DSU, that'd be a levy on the students. Do you think that's going to benefit the business students regarding a DSU?
Well, actually, with the levy, and that will pretty much be increased funding as well. So I believe there are benefits that can come from that, depending on the aim of the DSUs. But I think it's not fair for me to speak on behalf of all students currently without consulting and actually putting questions in and working with the establishment, because if the students approve, it's them who say that, yes, we approve of these funds. I'm going to take a personal stance on answering your question. I believe I will be willing to pay this for the increased opportunities that will occur. But I can't speak on everyone who may not be able to afford it, and I can't speak on everyone who may just not want to pay it at all.
Thank you both. Do we have any questions? Yeah.
So, I mean, you mentioned a lot about this question. Actually, this is a question, Maggie.
Yeah.
You mentioned a lot about how you have a large network already within the business faculty, within already members and presidents of clubs. How do you feel like that gives you more advantage over your candidate or over your opponent?
Great question. Thank you for asking. The leverage I see as being friends with a lot of the members of the business faculty is that I'm able to collaborate with them as well as collaborating with the SFSS. Right now there's a large disconnect between our faculty with the SFSS due to prehistoric problems, and I think me coming in as this role, as this representative, I can bridge that gap between the society as well as the business faculty and ensure the growth and sustainability.
Well, one of the platform points that I've currently consulted with I've consulted with incoming VAS HR VP, and one thing that I want to do is, at the beginning of a lot of people's student life, they engage in orientation and frosh. I want to see if there's a possibility to connect these with other faculties as well. I know that here in business we have VAS frosh, which is it's closed off, and there's good reason behind it. It's image, it's funding, it's involvement with not only SFSS but our SEO, which led me to actually consult with the current biz rep, and he said that another viable option, which I've been looking into, is engaging frosh with orientation, which occurs with a larger number of students, and there's a lot more freedom to change how these students interact. Because when I went through it myself, I was in a cohort with only business require
So a lot of the FSUs, as well as departmental clubs and student organizations, do a great job in establishing events and networking opportunities within themselves. So I believe it's important and vital to connect these executives with one another. I know a lot of faculties, in the business faculty, they have presidential meetings monthly. So if we're able to collaborate with all those members, as well as members of other faculties from arts, from sciences, from engineering, maybe we can come up with something that will be interdisciplinary and connect other students together.
Thank you both. Any further questions? Yep.
Yeah, I had a question for Hingu. You said that you have experience with the SFSS. How will that experience aid you in your role as business representative?
Good question. So in the SFSS, my is working on 3 concerts, as well as being a part of the committees, as well as being part of the projects. I think this experience has taught me the value and importance of student governance. I understand that SFSS has a lot of power over the student population, representing 26,000 students. And I think that I've gained knowledge regarding the Constitution, the bylaws, as well as the networks, working with the board of directors, and I think that's really valuable on its own to represent the business sector.
Further questions? Okay, we'll start with closing statements. Ingo, you can go first.
Thank you for listening to my spiel. I appreciate everyone for coming out here today. I'm a student that wants to make a meaningful impact at my time at SFU, and I think this is the next big step in creating that impactful impact, support, and I come from a team of responsible, experienced, and accountable leaders, and I think our team will bring the best efforts and experience to this role. Thanks.
I've spent quite a fair amount of time here at SFU, and I've seen that right now is the time for me to take on a role and get more involved to make a change. I've been working with, again, as Sangi said, he's worked with an excellent group of individuals, so have I. I've worked with students who are very motivated with schools, been mentored by some. I've consulted with the others, and I believe that myself, along with my team, will have a huge impact on the student society as well as the students in the entire school. So, thank you for listening today.
Any arts and social science candidate representatives? Representative candidates?
I believe there's a statement sent in.
There's 2 statements, but 1 candidate potentially.
We're not reading statements? We're not reading statements?
We'll read the statements, but there's a candidate who didn't send in a statement, so we just wanted to give them the opportunity. Okay, there's 2 statements from arts and social science representatives. I'll read them both. Okay. 2, I apologize for my debate. Unfortunately, our school spirit is trying to focus on making the SFSS more engaged, accountable, and transparent, which includes to make them more aware of what we do. So that's there 30 seconds. Let me get to the other one. Great. This statement is from R. Farah. Hello everyone, and thank you for coming today. My name is R. Farah, and I'm running to serve as your next arts rep. I was looking forward to this debate, but due to a very important midterm, I am unable to attend. If anyone has any questions for me, feel free to email me at afarah@sfu.ca. Thank you. To education representative.
But the goal of community position is to revitalize health. Health science, the goal, the difference we can do, we can put in place that will engage the faculty better. So we work in partnership to create better avenues for things to happen. So it's 2 different roles, because one will be the avenue to the SFSS, while the other one works directly on the faculty level. So my goal is to help them and see how we can work together and get things better.
Awesome, thank you. Further questions? Okay, you can go ahead with your closing statement when you're ready.
For the closing statement, I just want to emphasize that I've been having a fun time during this election, and I work with amazing individuals at School Spirit. I want to let you all know, especially those who are viewing from at home, I know you are the guys to vote. Vote School Spirit. We've got good plans, great plans for SFU. Support us, and we want to understand societies to what you guys will live to love, and we're sustainable because our goals are going to stay in SFU for a long time. So vote School Spirit, vote right.
Thank you. All the science representative candidates? From here, so I'll read those and long assignment academia comes first. Hi everyone, my name is Jazz Hans and I'm running for SFSS Science Rep. Due to a chem lab that cannot be made up, I'm not able to be here. However, I just wanted to let you guys know about what I said, about what I stand for and what I'm about, which is to promote engagement and a sense of unity between the various science departments and also between the many faculties at SFU. To establish a science peer mentorship which will connect upper division students with first years to help them succeed and transition into SFU life. And lastly, to advocate for more funding for the Open Textbook Campaign to get free textbooks and course materials for students. Thank you and vote Jazz Hands for SFSS Science Rep. All right, you can go with your statement.
Hello, I'm Jesse Vitale, and I would like to represent Science's experience. So, the Science Rep compliment going forward.
I think inevitably part of the role is they're going to work together. And I think they're going to work together really closely because of the fact that the Science Undergrad Society was just formed. And like all the other faculty student unions that have formed have just kind of changed their status from a departmental student union, whereas the science one is coming out of nothing. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And yeah.
There is no right or wrong answer to this, but okay, when I was sitting on board of directors, there was always this little kind of debate on whether our role as faculty reps was, if our loyalties were first to our faculty or first to the SFSS as a whole. And so I wanted to know where you two stand. Like, as faculty reps, do you feel that your duty is to your specific science constituents first or to the overall SFSS constituency first? Not that there's ever going to be a situation where there's a conflict of interest between science and the SFSS, but you know, right?
Do you have a preferred order of answering or just whoever wants to be?
I think actually I would be failing the board if I were to not take the consideration of science students as my primary mandate. That's my role as a science representative, is to represent them. I can't just go with what the board says. Applying to science students, I have to present the needs of the science students to the board.
All right, you have to act in the best interest of all the members of the society, and as a faculty of science representative, I would be representing the best interest of science students to the board of directors.
Thank you. Further questions? Marie, you can start with your closing statement when you're ready.
I just want everybody to take the time out and actually get informed and vote, because I think that's really important, especially for this specific election. I am responsible, experienced, and accountable, and vote real, and most importantly, I actually care. Thank you. Jessica.
I would like to say that, yeah, what is it, 5% of people vote in these elections every year? You get that up to, slightly more than 5%, that would be great. So however you vote, voting is the primary concern.
All right, thank you both. We'll get going with the executive section, so any university relations candidates.
So, hello everyone. Thanks to my friends, my colleagues, as well as my family for making it out today to the SFSS Vancouver debate. It's great to see that we are hosting a debate on the Vancouver campus this year. It's something that we haven't done in the past year, so it's great. So, the Vancouver campus debate, it's one of my goals this year on the board to make sure that these students are better understood in both their wants and needs, as well as...
That's your 30 seconds, sorry.
That's okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Ali Najaf. I'm third year business major and student senator. Platform is three pillars: engage your SFU, improve student communication.
It's been overtaken.
Person job, it's a whole committee job, it's a whole season
Space.
They're agreeing.
Committee meetings, so just ensuring that the interests of the students are being prioritized before university administration. The university is very interested in the Build SFU project.
The Vancouver debates, I'm unable to join you as I have a midterm during this time. For me, the VP external position is all about effective representation and making connections for SFU. I will be doing this managing the relationships with our externals and linking student unions to provide them all sorts of help. Using the same platform, I want to help students by finding an external source of funding that can cater to their needs. In addition to this, I will continue advocating for our students and will make sure that there is a continuous flow of communication between our members and the advocacy committee. Experience, I have a strong understanding of organizational structures and I have a deep understanding of working in relations office.
Alright folks, as always I'm going to harp on 3 points: supporting innovation, improving communication, and platform. And I'll answer any questions that you want to throw at me, or all my contact me.
Events. My chair VP sponsorship initiatives for the Build SFU, and at this time we are not at the stage to look at sponsorship for Build SFU. So while I recognize at some point in time Build SFU sponsorship should probably be a thing, until the building is constructed, the VP externals in the society are not able to look for sponsorship at all. And so like that's something I feel like that should be addressed, and I did like some of the points that you raised though about like ethical sponsorship, because that's another thing that I would want to make sure that both of you are aware of when you look for sponsors, that the society does have a policy on ethical sponsorship. So ensuring that all your sponsors, whatever sponsorship you look for, does comply with the society's policies. That's just my concern with it. You both gave good answers. So.
Great, thank you all. Do we have any questions for any of our candidates?
Yep. It's a question directly towards Blossom. Blossom, you said that you want students to sign a tuition to prevent an increase of 2% and a 10% tuition fee in domestic. From my understanding, I worked last semester with international student growth towards the fees increase that was 10% every year. We did try that, we sent in a letter, but I think due to the provincial agreements and laws, you can't prevent that. So how are you going to go, and do you think just signing a petition would?
There is a current advocacy campaign happening for that, and there is a petition being signed, so that's something that I would enforce more, that we get more signatures on that as well. Also, there is the university, yes, they're getting budget cuts, so they can't always listen to us, but that is something definitely we want to put into their ear, that you can't do that, it's not exactly fair.
So you're just going to...
Yes, definitely, as much as I can.
Yeah, so you stated that there's a petition from advocacy for lowering international tuition. Kathleen, given the fact that you're on advocacy, is there such a thing in advocacy?
To my knowledge, there actually is no such petition. We did have a campaign going on, which is a Facebook page called the SFSS Anti-Tuition Increase. I believe that's what the name is. I also do have concerns that we are looking at advocating for international students right now, because the Board of Governors are voting on this in the next 2 weeks. I don't know that you'll have time to advocate on behalf of international students to lower the fee when it's being voted on in 2 weeks.
No, I was just, the reason why I'm stating that is because if you're going to be representing the society as an external relation, the first thing would probably be having factual information to communicate to individuals.
Can I answer the question I was asked, please? Okay, perfect. The information I received and the petition I'm talking about is on the SFSS website. So unless the website's wrong, I think the information is correct.
I actually did, in the beginning when we started talking about open textbook, I believe this was in the fall semester, I actually did go around with a bunch of people getting a petition signed and getting some information and having them hearing about the open campaign. So there is such a petition.
The open textbook campaign is different from international tuition.
There are two different petitions.
Yeah. There's one petition.
There's two.
Kathleen is on the advocacy committee.
We can all, let's all look this
Further
up right
questions?
now.
Yes, next question.
What's your plan B if the petition fails or if it doesn't work? What's your plan B for that? Just petition signing is the only way?
Is that to all candidates?
Particularly for her, because that's in her manifesto.
Well, we can't just tell the university that you can't raise fees. That's not something that they are even able to help us with. But petitioning, it can't go wrong because you're getting signatures, you're listening to people, you're hearing their voices. And if the university sees that, then definitely they're going to notice, okay, something is wrong. You know, international students aren't going to want to come to this university if we keep doing this. So I think the first step is to voice the student voices, let the university know, and then if it fails, then there are other steps you can take. But first, the university needs to know how we're feeling.
As my friend mentioned, he has been working on it, and the university knows about it, and it's a provincial law that they increase the 2% fee every year. So, and you did not really clear what's your plan B if petition fails. You said that's the first step. What's your second step? Do you have anything in your mind? Or?
If it completely fails, then I guess the provincial law, if that's what's preventing us, then that's where we got to go, to the root of the problem, the provincial government. That's what we got to attack.
Arjun, I noticed on your platform, I think you said earlier, that you really want to focus on media. And as the ISSA events coordinator working at Harbour Centre, it's a smaller community, and it is harder to get our word out that we're having events. So I was curious how you plan on using the media to help advertise our events.
All right, so advertising your events is a little bit. What I would do is, if anything that I can issue a press release for, any word that I can get out anywhere, I would. Of course, one of my things is also trying to get a platform on Reddit or seeing other external social media platforms that we can look into. Maybe we can look into stuff like that. I'm not saying Reddit will work. Yeah. I'm just saying that maybe there's stuff around there that you can put your events on. I know one thing that an organization that I'm working with just got on is something called Hype or Hype. Excuse me for forgetting the exact name. But what that does is it advertises all the events to people in that area who have that app. Maybe that's something that we can look into. These are external organizations that we should maybe have ties to, that maybe we should have, that we should look into, so that it's an easier way to get our word across. A lot of the time, our SFSS website, although it is at a record high for views and clunky at times, it is a bit hard to navigate. I would want to look into seeing other alternative things, of course fixing that as much as possible, but seeing other alternative things that might help our students more. So getting the word out there would basically involve just as many platforms as possible, anywhere that I can go, anybody who I could tell, stuff like that.
That's your minute, Arjun. Thank you.
Awesome.
A lot of the problems that our university and our students are facing seems to be coming from the fact that the government keeps cutting funds for universities, like international student tuition increase, and people being let go because there's just lack of funding everywhere. Somewhere like the SFU has been known for cutting the university tuition and a lot of change. So as a DP external, so how would you address that? Would you have ideas of, I don't know, meeting universities and saying it's enough for the government to be cutting funds in this direction? Do you have any thoughts or plans?
people like these organizations and as many universities as possible.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for the question again. I would say that the elections are coming up and the government's going to be looking for support from students. There's a lot of votes here to be had. So that's something we can do. We can gather with all the other universities, gather all our votes, and through voting power, we can convince the government that yes, this is what needs to change. You need to listen to us. If you want our votes, this is what has to change, and that is the only way to do it.
I love both those responses because that's exactly what I've advocated for in the Peak article. I want to work with the ABCS and I want SFU, the Family Business Student Society, to restore our activist roots. We're known to be one of the most active, politically active campuses in the BC, and to restore things for us to go back to those roots I think is really important. I think we need to go beyond the petition. There is no international student petition. I looked it up. What was written is a letter to the written by the Simon Fraser Student Society advocating their position against international student tuition increases. And like Blossom said, I think increasing voter turnout, there's a federal election coming up in October to try and increase voter turnout by students, because as we all know, student voter turnout is extremely low right now. So if we could get our voices heard at the table, I think is what's going to be most important in terms of lobbying the provincial government and lobbying the federal government to take student issues seriously. So that's what I think.
You just answered my question.
Perfect. Question here?
Thank you. So it's kind of two-pronged. So number one, and they connect. Number one, which campaigns did you work on the advocacy committee this? And I guess if you've worked on a lot, which were the most prominent, which leads to my second question, which is essentially how valuable is the advocacy committee to the role of the external relations? Vice President of External Relations.
Is that to all candidates?
Yes, to all candidates. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Campaign. Like I said, there is a rally happening tomorrow, leaflet, so if you see me afterwards, they can't, hopefully this.
Okay, well, I have not been involved in the advocacy club at Burnaby directly, but Brady did bring some of the open textbook petitions in Surrey, and at the Surrey campus, that's how we spread the word. We took those petitions and we got people to sign them, as well as there was another campaign done strictly at Surrey, not involved with advocacy. It was Smile SFU, and that was something put on by the art students, and what we did was we just wanted to cheer everybody up at the Surrey campus, the Surrey community. As you know, Surrey community outside neighborhoods aren't the greatest sometimes. So we try to clean up that, and those are the two advocacy like campaigns I've been involved with this year.
So, two of the campaigns that I've helped with, I should say, not worked on, most closely are the Louis Riel campaign, and I helped a bit getting the petitions for the Open Textbook campaign. I'm going to focus more on the second part of your question, if that's okay, because I do think that's important too. The advocacy committee is a huge part of what this VP external role, and really for me, one thing that I do want to say is that I will be advertising everything that committee does. So I will be basically saying, and yes, I go ahead to advertise a lot, I'm sorry, but I will be making sure everybody knows what he's doing, and that really has the power to give students the power to change words. That more students will start sitting on that. More students will be involved in that, and we'll have more students voicing their opinions, more things happening, supporting innovation.
Great. Any further questions?
Just a question for all candidates. Seeing as you're all running for the external relations position, I'm just curious if any one of you believes they have an advantage over any other, because like you guys are bringing in corporations that you currently, or any organizations that are external to the Simon Fraser University that you have a connection with that you can use to further issues that you're advocating for on your platforms. I'm going to leave that a little open-ended. I have to tailor that to each of your candidate platforms, but feel free to answer any further.
I do not want to go first.
Sure. Talking about experience, I am a board of director for my dad's company. So that is where most of my corporate experience comes from. Also for the Coast Capital Savings Credit Union, I've also worked on their internal relations as well as external. So we organized events for them. We did outreach in the community. We sponsored a lot of community events, as well as I worked for the SFU administration, also with their external events. And so we organized many events at the Surrey campus through SFU administration. So this was any galas, the President Gala, the Mayor's Gala, all of those sorts of events. And lastly, BC Youth Parliament. I've been a part of the BC Youth Parliament, so I have where my
Sure, I'm cool. I hesitate to say I have an advantage over anybody else because I do think that a big thing with this role is the interpretation you bring to it. And you have three different interpretations sitting here, or three slightly different interpretations sitting here, and you have Karen who brings a different interpretation as well, and I think that's important to note. For my particular interpretation of this role, things that strengthen me are that I have helped out with the SFSS, so I do know some of the stuff there. I have helped out with external relations on a wide variety of things, both involved in SFU and external to SFU, and PR and external is kind of my and I have to various, as many events as I can. MLAs are present. For example, this hashtag Say Something launch was a big one, and that was pretty cool because right before that I went to Lobby Days and I met a couple of MLAs there, one or two of whom were at the hashtag Say Something launch, and I was like, oh yeah, hey, I saw you a week ago. But yeah, so those are the things that I think will stretch my interpretation of this role. But I hesitate to say that gives me an advantage over any other candidate because I believe any candidate who has this role, anybody who's running for this job will do a good job. Sorry, I need to correct myself. Not job opportunity, not job opportunity. Thank you, Kathleen.
Okay, so in terms of whether or not my experience has given an advantage over the other candidates, I think something that the four of us actually all talked about was that regardless of the election, we'd all really like to work together moving to help make the VP external position the best it can be and make the advocacy committee the best it can be. Based off my experiences, I've had a lot of on-campus and off-campus experiences. Whether or not those have given me an advantage over other candidates, I don't think that's fair to say, as Arjun also said, because we've all had different experiences. We all bring different life stories and skills to the table. So I think being able to work together is what ultimately is going to give us an advantage over any other VP external in the past. And that's all I really have to say about that. So.
What other committees within the SFSS can you work in tandem with the advocacy committee to enhance the success of the advocacy committee?
So in terms of committees, I am a strong believer that the Constitution and Policy Review Committee will be a strong asset to partner with the Advocacy Committee in terms of changing policies, in terms of allowing us to take a stance on certain issues, especially as primarily an advocacy organization. Since we are an advocacy organization, I think that question can be played into a lot of different committees. It's just going to depend on your interpretation, but mainly for me is the Constitution and Policy Review Committee, also known as CPR. Another committee I feel like would be really important would be the Events Committee, because as the Advocacy Committee, we do a lot of outreach stuff, and my hope would be that the Advocacy Committee is able to do a lot of outreach, and I think partnering with the events to ensure that a lot of our events have an advocacy component, a lot of our advocacy events are obviously events in itself, so to partner together I think would be a really great first step.
Thank you. The exact same committees as well. One of the committees that I would really want to work with is the Events Committee, because for example, if we start to do a campaign where we want to increase the voter turnout at SFU, that would be a great way for advocacy and events to come together, where there would be a fun component but an educational component, and that would really tie in really well, as well as CPR, because that is our constitution. That's where it all starts and that's where it all ends. So knowing that would be great, especially if we want to advocate for things. We've got to know the rules.
I agree completely with CPR and events. I think all our events should have as much of an advocacy component as possible. I think CPR is reasons. I think that events, whatever we can do. I also think that maybe there's some other committees that'll be useful. For example, I think that the Surrey Campus Committee, maybe we can stretch the advocacy committee to there. Maybe we can have more advocacy initiatives on other campuses. I think that would be useful. I think that would also draw people into the advocacy committee, into that. I think another committee that I'd want to look into, actually no, that's not a fully formed thought. I'll stop there. Thank you.
You guys. That's it. It's you a leader.
Should we all take a minute?
We should answer this question. We should answer this question. Yourself out there, and it's hard getting shot down. It's hard putting yourself out for leadership positions where you get shot down and you feel like you're not doing the best job. But all those things strengthen you. Kanye West, I mean, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but hey. Sorry, I couldn't resist. But yeah, long story short, I've learned from all those experiences. I've learned from my failures. I've learned from my successes. Either you succeed or you learn, right? And I really think that I've learned a lot. I really think I've succeeded a lot, and I really think I'm ready to succeed again.
Kelly Clarkson.
It's a very big, deep question. I don't know how I'll be able to answer that. But yesterday I was campaigning, and I went up to someone and I was like, "Hey, do you know about the SFSS elections?" And she was like, "Yeah, I know." And that's it. She went back to study. And I was kind of like, "Oh, ouch!" Like that hurt a little. I just got shot down. But the thing is, I kept going. The reason I kept going is because I love our university, and I love everyone who goes here, and I'm really passionate about this position and everything that entails within this position. So, what makes
me support and help your team and make sure that we're all learning together and make it known that we are all learning together. Like there's no like hierarchy where it's like I'm up here and you're down here. We're all learning together and we're all in this together. So
just remember to remind all your friends to vote. Please, let's get as big of a voter turnout as possible this year. Last year we had 9.4% of voter turnout, which isn't really acceptable in my books, because if any of us get elected, I don't want us to be leading 9.4% of the students. I want us to be leading a majority of the students. Thank you.
Yeah, there's that.
Maybe I'll come back to the president. If you want, you can set it on the auto. Yeah. The lighting is kind of
It's okay, I didn't actually
You're complimenting each other.
We hope.
Oh, you
guys having fun?
You guys can
I
get.
haven't been really following. I was.
Peter sent me an email.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Have fun.
If you went to and so that for and like the other thing, like, like if you're worried about like, and I'm going everywhere. Is there really concept of
Let's talk about it and we'll decide because I also need time tomorrow. And yeah, it's important for our role. One of the biggest
they have it and we're all the residents. That's basically it's like all the
And what does that look like?
Oh, yeah, this is the book.
Yeah, we look hard at us getting to like research over what's actually important to us as well. Okay, you know what? Do whatever you want. I think we can on Facebook.
Okay. What's your?
I'll do you guys
Yeah,
know?
I
Prior to our fourth.
Yeah, I think that's I mean, like,
I would say do
like at least they can sleep at night. I saw that on someone else's Instagram. He was as well. Or was it? Everyone.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, I just go apologize.
I have water. Do you want to go get like more water?
Look at the way you may be attached to the issue. So
I'm gonna tweet it. I'm gonna tweet you the second half of my answer.
Oh,
That group. Hello. I'm okay. I'm a little bit like rattled, but like every time.
I have questions
Yeah,
for all of you for tomorrow.
Yeah,
You
sure.
do? I already have it prepared for tomorrow. It's not very
I fear Shireen's the only reason why I'm not going to show up to the debate.
No, I'm asking. Yeah, actually, it's not my. But are you posing?
Like, it's not
No, I'm just trying to.
Do we have like a 1 million person viewership right now? What's going on? Like, my family from India, have they tuned in yet? Or what's going on?
The internet's been kicking out, but we've had decent. I think I've never done one of these, so I don't know what's going. But I feel like it's.
We got at least like 10.
We have 165 playbacks.
Whoa!
7 concurrent viewers at one point.
Whoa, those some people are losers.
But the internet has been kicking out, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, even the SFU secure does it all the time.
I've never had a problem with it until today. Like I've never really seen
And maybe it's with MacBook.
the secure thing until today.
Yeah, like it tunes out and it comes back in.
Yeah.
Ends up it's still streaming, so whatever it is. I'm gonna go post on the camera. It's a little pre-campaigning live stream. I usually won't notice. Hey guys, I'm feedback. No, sorry.
Like I need to get more buttons.
We don't have the vote.
President Petter asked me for one.
We don't have the vote. Yes,
Here, I saw him earlier.
we don't have the vote. Yes, but
Engage us. Ballots went out yesterday.
We need to do a big email blast. And I just like, people keep, like, I need to do that today. But my computer is dead and there's no outlets in here.
There's outlets in the floor.
There's outlets in the floor?
Yeah.
At all the levels? No way. No way.
No.
Since we don't right?
Don't worry, bro.
If you want to see what already happened. This is my first time doing this. My understanding is that once it's okay, so once so I would say sometime tonight.
Good time on things, you know. They like to keep us in suspense.
Well, I learned how to do this yesterday, so.
They'll probably have it up by next week.
I'm gonna say too much about the spaces Also, heads up to Saturday, your computer is with
Oh!
So it's fine, just if you're doing secret things.
I am doing super secret things.
Yeah.
Pay off the gaming with.
Oh, I'm promoting the transit referendum, so.
Yeah. Stop gambling online. That should be fine.
Because that's what it was called when we developed our advertising program. I just thought of it more, but it was brought up in my early class. They are being used in interchangeable. And for like, we're gonna have what were their concerns? They say like both they created the translate through the self-transportation. I forget what else I was. I should know. I was after my presentation, so I was there was like a list created by someone, I forget who it was, the best ways to like get solid source of funding and like getting this increase in sales tax.
Straight A, you can everyone can go back to that.
Utilize the program. Annual, so there's no restrictions on who.
Huge renovation in one area and they don't have the money in the space expansion fund, there's nothing precluding the general fund from serving that purpose. At the same time, there is a reserve of some funds left. I don't know the exact number. I will get that from Adam for you. But there is some money left aside in the space expansion fund to try and meet that end. Based on history and what we've looked at, we've never needed that kind of money for a space expansion to begin with, and Adam's projection is that this is enough. And so if you'd like him to confirm that, I will make sure that he is at the Burnaby debate.
Further questions?
So again, any further questions or further detail on my answers may be asked at vpfinance@sfss.ca.
Thank you. Great. That's all the referenda representatives now. Then we can get the student life candidates down. Sonny, you can go ahead with your opening statement whenever you're ready.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming out today. My name is Hassan Liaquat and I'm a third year business student running for your SFSS as VP Student Life. Hopefully more people would know what SFSS is next year. In my own life and in my own small way, I've worked hard to give back to this community, which I've fallen in love in the last few years. I want to work with you guys, engage you and empower you to build a community that's engaged, transparent and sustainable. Thank you.
I'm currently a board member for the Science for Student Society and intend to work. I've never had any classes here and I've only had an abundance of meetings here for extracurricular activities. For example, I'm a part of an organization organizing committee that may be liaison to bring more activities here and work on the week of welcome at Vancouver campus and continue to build community at the Vancouver campus.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just keeping in mind that last year you were the liaison between SFU, Burnaby and Surrey, and given the fact that you just failed one event that cost students thousands of dollars, how do you expect you to be a leader where you're running a Frosh and hopefully not losing us money this time around?
So is the question relevant to my platform forum as, like I'm double checking, to Frosh Week, or are we going back to Surrey and talking about
I'm just saying, if you say that you're going to run this Frosh with all these people, we lots of money involved and lots of planning to do,
so
and
like,
you've already failed doing one, how are you going to do this one?
So is the question the trust with experience? Can you be more specific, please?
Read that?
Are you questioning the trust of in the society or my experience?
Just this trust, and how you're going to make sure that this time there's more planning to it,
Okay, yeah.
and we don't do it.
Yeah, I guess the membership definitely needs to know that.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, so one thing I'd want to answer back to my action as a trusted member of the Assignment for the Student Society. The Hollywood North Gala, which is being referred to, was a gala put together by the Surrey's Campus Committee. It was one of those situations, if the gala went successful, hurrah, the committee did great. If it failed, it was on me, and I take full responsibility for that. That being said, my platform as Frosh Week is huge and a lot bigger than this gala. Frosh Week is with 8 faculty representatives put together. My experience as a FAR member will allow me to utilize a streamline of conversation with them, which this current VP Student Life failed to do, and I'll be able to work together with them and create a Frosh Week and a huge initiative, which is like a festival-like experience on campus. It shouldn't be members within classes who know each other. Members should know each other within the hallways as well, which further works on to creating a positive learning environment on all 3 campuses. That's why Frosh Week is something I can be trusted with, and I have loads of experience doing it, and I trust myself, and I hope members trust me as well in doing so. Thank you.
Great answer. I just think that it had to be demonstrated. You had 1 year. I think you did a lot of good work as well. But just giving that you failed, or your team failed, you were the leader of that team. Okay, so yeah, just like doing a Frosh Week with all these things is a lot more plan.
Fulfilled this year and differently.
I love it.
Reason they failed to work together over the last years, or maybe hadn't reached out to students that much. I'm going to work with them, and hopefully this time around we reach out to students and have more members in there. Active members.
Hope that the second, at the very least, have looked at bylaw 4, especially bylaw 4, as that states the skeleton basics for the basics. It's so in moving, my hope is.
We've had 3 establishments of faculty unions, faculty applied science. So this movement is actually very positive, and this progression is grabbing traction, and we are going to be successful in establishing faculty student unions. And I think I'm the perfect person to be that liaison for this upcoming year. Thank you.
Further questions?
Yeah. So this question is directed to Deepak. You were asked a question just now by your opponent about questioning your sort of trust and accountability to the membership, given your role as a Surrey liaison wasn't that successful with a failed event, whereby you responded stating the failure of the first VP Student Life in a newly created position. Kindly describe how that shows and exemplifies.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, I definitely think current VP Student Life is doing great recently right now is putting 2 words together and clashing them and using big words. I think he definitely got a misinterpretation of what I just said. That being said, are we focusing on speaking about the current VP Student Life or my role as Surrey liaison?
That's your
thing. This is extremely.
Again, or should we move on?
Yeah, I guess I'll just reiterate, I think it's important for the sake of professionalism, accountability, and every other thing that you seem to embody in terms of realness. If you're asked a question, please answer that question. By you ultimately deflecting that and somewhat.
Why did I deflect there, Kelly? You didn't get to that. This is your third time.
Everyone is here listening.
I'm in front of a camera, Kelly. I'm very aware of that.
So ultimately, if you're asked a question, it would be great if you answer the question and stick to the point.
All right, I think we can move on.
Next question.
I don't know what this question was.
I think we can move on from this, otherwise we're going to...
I have a question. So in your position as the student, those would be the liaison to the council. And so I was wondering, what do you think that the role of council is for one? What is your experience with council? And also, what do you see your role as a council president in council?
Okay. One thing I'd like to say is council is the overarching body of the board, and I definitely respect that. I definitely think council this year, thanks to a wonderful council chair this year, has been very productive and has been doing lots of advocacy work, outreach, and members are actually showing up to their meetings and actually participating, not just there to collect their stipend. Members are actually engaged in what I am engaging. I think my role, and I'm trying to answer the question as I always have in the past, is my role is actually to be act as liaison and perhaps even be council chair if you would want all members of council to be participating. I remember in the past, the member services officer was acting as the council chair, and the council chair is a liaison, is a neutral member of council, and that's something I'd be comfortable doing. Furthermore, if that's not what council would like me to do as VP Student Life, I would want to stay in liaison conversation, and it's so that's what I feel like my liaison system, what council would be.
That's to me as well. I still think council is a big part of SFSS or of a society. It's where we actually advocate what student wants and what different EBSUs and FSUs wants. I haven't directly been involved with council before, though I do know that I've followed up on the meeting minutes and I'm aware of all the current issues or whatever we're going with it. I do think that, as you said, last year council has worked a lot. There's a lot of good issues that have been brought up to the society, and hopefully as a liaison, I think every student life is a liaison between the board and students through all the clubs, BSUs and FSUs, and I do hope to be the students' voice up there and actually know what student wants and then bring it up to council.
All right, thanks both. We have a question over there.
So there is a proposed governance reform, which, should it move forward either one day, would pose a significant change in the composite of council. So as it stands right now, according to our bylaws and our policies, the VP Student Life is the one mainly on between council and the board. So should the composition change based on the proposed governance reform, how would you feel about that? Is that a movement towards a more streamlined organization, or would you prefer the system as it is right now? Oh yes,
okay.
That's it.
Okay, so one thing I'd like to say, I believe there's a couple of concerns raised over the summer semester that were presented to council, that were presented to the board, and obviously I designate the membership. One of the things that we did speak about was how there's a lot of overlap in the student society. Council does a few things, and board does a few things, DSUs do a few things, faculty and students do a few things. There is a lot of overlap, and that's why the avenue of governance reform is looked into. I was actually a large advocate of getting rid of my current position as a faculty representative on the board of directors and just having faculty student unions being represented on council. However, after doing further research and after the advice of some of my colleagues, I do think there's lots more homework to do. I don't know what side of the fence I sit on of this actual governance reform taking place. And for members who don't know what we're speaking about, it's about governance reform is eliminating all 8 faculty representatives on board of directors and having them sit on council and having a more streamlined structure of conversation and organization. However, as liaison and future vice president of student life, our hopeful future vice president of student life, I definitely respect you. I need to make sure that my interest would be to do further research on that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I would go with Deepak with that. I think as VP Student Life, we are the liaison between students and the board and the council and everything, and I think it's really important to, before making a decision, we do need, I would like to research and do need to talk to students and everyone, and hopefully we know what side they are with, and hopefully I'm with them on that side.
So I've got a pretty practical question for both candidates. How would you get the students interested in clan games?
I think clan games are a big part of SFU life. I do think so. That's what makes SFU, that those people are working for the students in a way that they're representing SFU outside. I think it's really important to have a promotional way in which the students actually know that clan games are happening and how they're happening. I think I was talking with my external relation teammate, Colin, and we have to bring a platform where we could, and student services, where we could actually promote these things by SFSS to the students. And it's also really important to involve clubs, DSUs and FSUs in this, because I think they have a more direct relation to the students and they're more involved. If you could get them involved and take that initiative, I think we could still get more people at our clan games.
Okay, definitely. Thank you for reading the question, Cedric. One of the things I definitely included in my platform was further participation in varsity and recreation games. One of the things that I was a part of this year, I definitely had no organization part. What I attended was current at-large Representative Jeremy Pierce through a Clash of Borders event where we had school bus of membership go down to Washington to watch our clan games play. That being said, I think in order, I'm actually going to progress this question. I feel like showing our membership that being attendance to these community fights of clan games are important, simply because this will further show the significance of why Build SFU is important, why our stadium is important, why our student union building is important, and why community is important. That being said, clan game participation is very huge as well, but that doesn't mean membership shouldn't be let known about debate competitions that are taking place or business competitions that are taking place. It needs to be a large variety, but definitely clan is a big part of our campus community and it needs to be engaged. Another thing I'd like to further look into is having a student athlete council member sitting as a constituent group on council. I remember it was looked into during this current term, but it was never followed up onto, so I further like to look into that, and I hope that satisfies your question.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Further questions? You and then.
As a president of TSU, one thing I found really difficult is effectively communicating, not effectively communicating, but it's only emails from everything. As well as Facebook stuff, whether it's used to some type of channel. How do you, but if you want to have more connection, more events, how do you expect to get that word out without it being lost in the same with the noise issue? With all the emails, all the everything. Did you have another way to, idea?
So if your main question, the significance, no, I think it was a great question, the significance of the communication to the membership.
Yeah, a more effective way to communicate. Do you have an idea that can get beyond what we currently do now?
The only idea I currently had, and of course since we have a communications department, I would hope so to work with them, and I definitely need to look further into this, is the website. I love the website, it's a beautiful website. I think our communication department does a great job, but I think it needs to be a little bit more simplified and modified. All the information is transparent, is on the website. I just think there needs to be more access to it, and it needs to be easier. Like I remember a colleague saying how they were speaking about the website on Monday, and it just, everything's there. You should need to click one thing there and another thing there. It should all be on one page. So it's either simplifying that communication. Another avenue would be have more outreach done, have more out of office hours, not just for myself, but a board, a society in general. Because I think we're too much stuck in that Maggie Benson Center over there and not reaching out to our satellite campuses and just our campus in general. Does that satisfy? Okay.
No, it's really important. It's really important to reach out to students. Me being involved in clubs, I do still think we have this problem with the clubs that also have to promote even small event or by themselves, by emails, or maybe looking for volunteers by emails, which mostly never works. Because people, I don't know, they don't look into emails, I think, so that's failing. So yeah, as you said, we do have a communication office. We do have to look into the website, maybe making it more engaged somehow. Could be more transparent. Something that we did look into with my other team is with satellite campuses, with my student services gave a really great point, is how to promote, even if you're having an event in Burnaby, how to communicate, empower you guys. So join the movement.
But if you don't want to, is because you talk a lot about
communicating the services we offer. But at the same time, part of the reason why we have such difficulties is we offer so many things.
The last one is more sustainable. And how can we do that? If we make our services more engaged and more transparent, and in the long run it will automatically be sustainable.
Finance?
Just a point of information, originally the booking had been until 4:30, but we have an extension, so obviously we'd like to keep this as fluid and proficient as possible, but we're not.
Key of things. Another thing important involved in things like student bursaries. These are all important issues. I'm not saying that we're taking out because of the money, I'm taking out because of the overlap.
Cool. Really great point, sir. One of the things that you said that was a bit contradictory was, one, you said that we're seeing an increase in DSU and FSU creation, which shows that they're going to be getting more responsibility. You showed that there was a redundancy, but you're going to be eliminating the support factor, which isn't necessarily a middleman. Extremely mandates and reason for running is to support what is now the creation of FSUs.
Can I respond to that? In terms of that, it's, I do agree that the reps are doing great work, and they've helped to establish DSUs, and they're helping to establish FSUs, and they're doing all those things.
Our job is to delegate, and what our communications office found as a solution, because we don't have a membership database, was actually to try and connect SFU's volunteer program, which students don't use, as a link to our website. I think definitely while we're realizing.
Would you like to respond to your own question?
Sure. So I'm pretty new to this whole political campaign thing, and I'm relatively new to the SFSS, and I haven't had a lot of time to go over stuff. And for me, when I first opened the website, there's a lot of information, there's so many things, you scroll over the drop-down menus, and there are so many options. I don't know where to start, and I don't know where to look, and I want to do something about that. If I was a student looking to become interested in the SFSS, and I was to visit that website, it would be extremely daunting for me, and it might even discourage me from putting in further effort. So I would like to do something with that.
Thank you all. Would you like to pose a question?
Yes, I would. So my question is for all the candidates. It's a simple one. What drives you in this role? What drives you in this role? Starting inside.
We'll start with John.
So a long time ago, I got in a really horrible accident where my face ended up super disfigured, and I ended up having to go through high school where people couldn't respect me for how I looked, and I was really mistreated. And I learned that if people couldn't treat me respectfully for how I look, then they can treat me respectfully for what I'm capable of doing. I learned to be, I wouldn't say calloused, but I'm very capable of dismissing what people think of me in favor of doing the right thing. And with the help of my friends and my campaign slate, I was able to come to the realization that I can hopefully make a difference. And I don't care what people say. I have the courage to do the right thing, to say the right thing, and I'm not afraid. I care about doing what is best for the SFSS.
Well, I am an international student and came here a couple of years ago, and I don't feel like a stranger. SFU has been more than a school to me. It has been my home. SFU is where I met my friends, is where I spend most of my time, and it has been my life for the last couple of years. As great as possible by giving back to this community through various projects that I undertook, through various initiatives that I started, and through various roles that I served at, the last being the VP Student Services of the Student Society. Why am I doing this? Because I want to take it to the next level, because I have a vision, because I want to make the Student Society better based on what I have seen from the inside. And that is why I'm doing it, and that is why I'm running with a team of strong leaders with me.
All right. This is actually a very interesting question. I think the satisfaction is what drives me. I've been extremely involved before I came to SFU to the point whereby I got the TD Canada Trust Scholarship for Community Leadership. In terms of getting into SFU, I've done a number of events. I've started, for example, the African Students Association because I was dissatisfied that there wasn't a community for us. I spoke up on the board meeting, for example, in terms of trying to revoke schools, building schools, because I passionately felt that way. I have a lot of ideas in terms of the current state of how our society is, and really the reason why I'm running is because if I'm dissatisfied as a member, then what about you guys who aren't here? And really all I'm doing as a leader is taking initiative and trying to put my ideas out. If you guys like it, support it. If you don't, I'm still gonna get involved and keep doing what I do.
Would you like to respond as well?
Oh, sure, I can do it. Sweet. Yeah, this can be pretty confusing, So I guess I just want to start by alluding to the fact that Arjun did say I was really into Disney, so I'm just going to use another Disney quote. For this one, it's a quote I used for the last debate, which is Ohana means family. Family means nobody gets left behind or forgotten. And that's really why I'm here, because like as everybody is saying, I'm really happy to be in here with candidates who support each other and where we feel that SFU is our home. And for each of us, that's why we're running, because SFU is our home. You are our friends, you are our family. And why I make sure no we're left behind. I want to ensure all your voices are heard. Whether you're on Burnaby, Vancouver, Surrey, we are all equal and we're all here to help each other. That's really why I'm running, to give power back to you guys.
Would you like to pose a question?
Yes. Before Jeez.
Okay. Does it match?
It's over. We have a line here, so from here, there, and then we can get to you. Okay? All right. You're after, yeah. You can go.
Oh. Oh, I thought. Yeah. Majority. So, if that really happens and one of you actually won this election without getting more than 50% of the popular vote, how would, first of all, would you try to approach the students who didn't vote for you, and second, how? Thank you.
Do you have a preferred order or just whoever?
Whenever they're ready.
I think if you could clarify for me, your question is ultimately speaking about creating an inclusive environment for the diverse communities.
Actually, no. I was talking about the voting system. So in SFSS election, once vote for, when there are 4 of you running for the president, a candidate may end up winning the position of the president without getting 50. The vote casted for the president. That's what I mean. And my question
Can I
is,
paraphrase for clarity? So if you guys don't get more than 50% of the vote, like a majority of the student body, how are you going to reach out to the students who didn't vote for you? Is that your
Yes.
point? Yeah?
Thank you.
Does that make more sense?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that is the general sort of state that the whole organization is in, which is disseminating information to the membership in a way whereby they're involved. And part of my platform is actually integrating the SFSS into the faculty, so working closely with, to the point of day orientation where your prof is speaking about the classes, they're also speaking about DSUs and talking about biology student union and how much support they can be for your bio. So having our with the organization and trying to integrate our messaging towards utilizing and amplifying the voices and capabilities of DSUs and clubs.
Great question. First of all, a way for us to know who voted for us and who did not. Votes come out in numbers, and we don't know who are the people who actually voted for us. But I think the same rule applies. Whether one of us wins with 21% or wins with 99%, I think it's the same rule that should apply. Everything should be done through the students. Our board meetings are open to the students. We host an annual general meeting where students can come and voice their concerns. Our meetings are open to the public, and students with any concerns should come up. Be used to know what the students want and need from us. So it's not a question of how many votes you got or what the percentage is. I think it's about doing your job and your due diligence in a responsible way.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm not afraid to lose to any of these fantastic candidates, so I've thought about this in advance. And if I realize that I'm going to cause a split vote and cause someone who I personally believe in and I believe in what they believe in, if I'm going to cause them to not be able to win, that I will step back in favor of leaving my votes for them, because I think that I am not the only fantastic candidate up here. But in the idea that, or in the instance that that's not the case, and that I don't need to step back, if I did win with a slight majority, but not a, we're talking 21% like that, that would be okay for me, because I'm for advocacy. I want the students' voices to be heard. So even though I might not have been their primary choice, I will still make sure that their voices are accounted for.
How I see it, I agree with everybody on the board, or everybody, all the candidates here. It's really about the students. And like you said, like you mentioned, there's a chance where a student can get voted on without the majority. And that's a possible instance, and if you look at the record, that's happened many times. One of the ways we can see it is students should be the ones who are deciding stuff, right? And like you said, what happens if I get on without the majority? I think I would echo a lot of the points here and increase presence. Have office hours, have open meetings at different campuses around all the campuses to let them know that we're here to listen to them, and to know that we're able to listen to their concerns and to represent on their behalf.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all. Question back?
Okay, I have a question for Kyrie. Okay, I like really tangible examples, so I actually have a pretty good one. One of your Brian referenced and
What's policies there? I think that if we translate what they were trying to say is really the need to integrate tech into efficiency within the society.
All right, thank you. Question over here.
So this is for all candidates. Is the SFSS a political environment, and does it have to be?
Any particular order or?
I'm just seeking a clarification. You mean, is that internally or externally?
Good question. Let's say internally within the board.
Internally, I don't think so. Internally, I think we should all agree on what the students' needs are, and I think we should be spending our time working and collaborating and cooperating together to make these needs, to find solutions for these needs, as opposed to wasting time engaging in political debates. However, externally, we do represent almost 24,000 students, and that is a political entity, and that is a political entity that we need to represent and we need to advocate for. So it depends on how you look at it. Thank you.
there shouldn't be politics. And honestly, I've been here for 5 years, and that's why I wasn't really involved with SFSS as much as politics. And that actually alienated me from SFSS. And I know a lot of students, when they hear about SFSS, back then, the first thing they thought was, oh, elections. And the first thing that came to mind was, oh, it's people bashing each other. It's people bringing them down. And that's why I feel a lot of a lot of students are alienated because of this presence. And I feel that as somebody who represents the average student, who wants to be involved but doesn't want to be part of the politics, is that we need to make it a place, it's a safe environment. The board should work together and be a safe environment where people can voice their opinions. And it might not be the best opinions, and it might not be where the board wants, but they should feel safe and free to voice them. And also students should also be able to feel free to, to voice their opinions, to be able to be heard, because I feel that we lost everything. But once we remove it, together we can work towards change.
Thank you.
Right, and no one else think that in and of itself fantastic ideas that we have.
It's a at in-person productivity. Given the fact that we vote on decisions, have our own better system. I didn't come into a political system with immersed learning how to be more political. Part of what I held on to is my morals, and ultimately my genuineness in being me to every individual is what I hope to establish within the board in it collectively accomplishing its goals.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, so I have a question to all of the present candidates. So what I've seen in past, and a lot of you would agree that SFSS throws an event, whether it is concert, SFU's Got Talent or party or whatever it is, they are the executives of that event also. They become the executives of all the positions that are offered. They don't involve membership. Membership is involved only on the level of audience, not in the organizing events or the organizing committee. Last year, I'm not saying this because I was an officer on SFU's Got Talent, or I'm not saying it because Gravity is in my team or something. I'm being just honest that he involved other membership in the SFU's Got Talent, and we became the officers of that competition, event. How do you guys think you have plans to involve membership in organizing events rather than just limiting them to the audience or the attendees of the event? And anyone can, it's to all of them.
Sure, I'll go. So my first response to that is, yeah, a lot of students aren't being represented and they're not given that chance to. And I'm coming from a background of 5 years working with communities. I've worked with music and performing arts group as a music minor, with Sada Society, with all these things. I've worked with various other clubs, business clubs, social clubs, culture clubs. And they're not given that chance. But I think that this question is better suited towards asking the VP student life, because they're the ones directly involved with it. In terms of the events, something that's not my scope, but I feel that I want to kind of bring to the board is the fact that having student engagement, student retention, and in terms of that, we can work with the events committee to see if we can include the students. But ultimately, I think it's being able to draw students within and to give them that empowerment. That's what my platform is based upon. And in terms of that, I think we should support partly the hundreds of clubs we have, to help out the DSUs and FSUs already there. And ultimately, they can plan events when we support them.
So I'd like to start off with, I have no interest whatsoever in advocating for any concerts. I think that we've hit a crucial period for the SFSS where something needs to happen, change needs to occur. And I think that a restructuring within the community will allow for us to delegate responsibility and engage more of the members within the community so that things can perform as they should be performed. And I don't think personally that my time would be best spent advocating for concerts when I could instead advocate for reform that would allow the proper parties involved to be engaged in activities like that.
So Sherry, I believe her question was about involving regular students who are not board members and give them responsibilities in big events. Well, I don't only have plans to do that, I have a proven experience of doing that. Working on the fall kickoff, for example, there was only 3 or 4 board members out of a team of 15 people with heavy duties and responsibilities carrying the largest event in the history of the school. You yourself, you know very well that you are very close to be the sponsorship manager for the springtime coming up.
I was so
Not only just the concerts, even the AGM, there was a lot of regular students who were involved and who had a lot of responsibilities carrying these important events and making them happen. I think a leader is not just somebody who does the hard work. A leader is somebody who needs to be hardworking, but at the same time empower other individuals and making them lead and succeed. And I believe I am that leader.
I think I have an answer.
You go ahead.
Okay. One of
It's close to everybody. Go right ahead.
Yeah, one of the things I realized in creating events in SFU is the sustainability factor. Me starting African Students Association, for example, that was an example of me being the project manager. But in me getting executives to join it, it became registering it as a club for it to run itself. In me starting SFU Fashion Week, while I started it, I transitioned it to a club which it runs itself. In terms of SFU's Got Talent, it was the same thing. It becomes a club. There are now project managers who are running to potentially grow it for the next year. In terms of our hiring committee, what we don't do right now is look at all of these initiatives as jobs and experiences for students. What that means is actually putting out the job descriptions for students to apply. What we do in terms of the concert, yes, pulling individuals and telling them to apply is great, but it's not very equitable. I think that we need to put out this job description in a volunteer whereby students are actually applying and transitioning these projects into their own program so that they can self-sustain themselves while the board is focusing on important issues. Stephen Harper is in organizing the center of gravity.
Thank you.
Great. Jesse? So, in the interest of where we are, there are several downtown spaces, each with its own unique considerations. In the interest of time, could you pick one and explain what you would do to represent their constituency? In order, Johnny, Enoch, Kevin, Zia.
A lot of people don't know this. I actually do have an arts degree, and it's in performing arts. And I think that the Vancouver campus especially could be incorporated, could be involved in our community through the performing arts. I think that by organizing events that allow students from all venues, from all campuses to be engaged and to perform and to participate, I think that's a fantastic opportunity for us to encompass more of the SFU student community.
So my response to that is, I am a music student, or from them, is that they throw some kick-ass events. And not just that, but they have the support of their community, and that's something I think that we can bring back and also can bring to them. Right now, I feel like whenever I throw music events or we have things, is that often they're left out of the talk. And then if we can communicate with them, and, get their advice, get their advice, but also to help support them. Because I feel like the Woolworth campus is, like you said, at FPA, it's a faculty of performing arts, but they offer so much to the table. I feel like as SFSS, as the people who are giving direction to them, we need to hear them out and to just help support their events. I feel like we don't promote their events enough on our campuses at Burnaby, and that's something I think we should do.
Yeah, I definitely think that this is a problem with all of the satellite campuses. So definitely when we're speaking of a system for Vancouver, we're speaking of a system for Surrey as well as the rest. I do my national sometimes. The cool thing is we don't have an Instagram page. I work with Van City Buzz that covers a lot of activities. They're able to actually promote what's going on around Vancouver, which is a bigger population than SFU. The thing is, we don't even have a blogging page. In fact, we don't have an outreach program which we're not paying, like Build SFU outreach team. I think the SFSS needs actual pop-up shows in all of whereby you can find out what's going on. I think we need to look at our communication strategy extremely well to integrate into specific at Burnaby or get Burnaby into some of their committees so that information is being passed into that centralized system whereby everyone can slowly find what's going on.
That's your minute, thank you.
Yep. Yes, I agree. I think there's a lot of students out on the cell towards attention. Is these students. First, events. We need to reach out to them in our events and get them to come out to the Burnaby camps or even do promotions for them and bring students out to see their performances. Second, communication. We need to advertise these groups of students. We have a lot of talent at SFU and people don't know about it, and it's a waste. And we need to focus more on promoting these students. 3, infrastructure. I know that there's a lot of student groups here in downtown who need more structure. For example, the dance program is one of them. A lot of these groups need some infrastructure, and I think the SFSS needs to look further into that over the next year.
Thank you. Question?
So my question is to all of you. Can you describe me an experience when you inspired someone or a group of people? And if you did, how will you continue to do it when you are elected as SFSS president?
Any particular order? No. We'll go this way. You have to go first.
Cool. I guess the greatest quote I've learned to realize by example is leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders. I was an independent candidate last year, and by show of individuals who gave their vote of confidence to run with me is a testament of, I guess, how I've inspired individuals to get involved in the society.
SFU is not the only post-secondary institution I've been to. And the other one I went to, we had a ski team. And before I was part of the team, it was a beer league. They got together on weekends. The team was so talented and had so much dedication. And I don't think that alone any of them realized that. So when I joined their ski team, within a couple months we got together. We were all working so hard. Everyone was progressing so much. And we ended up qualifying for nationals the very first year I was on that team. And I can't say it was just me. It was a group. I was a force in that they meant.
For me, I think way back to when I was a first year, and, super nervous, just getting to school, don't know what the heck I'm doing, and that was when I went to Frosh and I joined the mentorship program. And those people were the ones who I thought to, and I thought to myself, man, these ones are the ones who inspire me. These ones are the ones I one day hope to be. And then flash forward, I never would have thought that I would become a 2-time Frosh leader, a 2-time mentorship leader, but not just that, but a house leader. I feel for me, it's not really me inspiring them, it's seeing the people grow and being inspired by it. For me, Coyote's statement is actually the first quote on my platform. Mentoring people, I really come when you teach someone much more than you teach them. Honestly, why I feel that to be inspiring, how I inspire others, is by being inspired, by learning from each other, but also teaching them in ways. And mentorship is, I think, one of the key things I bring to the table.
Thank you for the question. I can name many examples. I've been president of several clubs, and obviously there has been successors after me. Frosh 2 years ago, obviously the wonderful group of people I'm running with. But there's actually like a specific project that is really dear to my heart and that I would like to mention, which is the creation of the first faculty student union on campus. Obviously I don't get all the credit myself, I was part of the process, and obviously my dear friend Darwin was obviously the leader of that, but look at where we are right now. Every semester there is a new faculty student union being established, and there is more community that's being established on campus. So it's not inspiring people, is not just buzzwords and having other people applauding you. It's about getting people to do the projects that you believe in and make sure that there's succession in doing these things.
No? Okay.
Okay. I have another question from Greg. So forgive me. Just give me a second to pull it up. Oh, okay. So this is for Coyote again. Given Coyote's history of rejecting established society protocols and procedures, as well as a history of disrupting student events and disrespecting staff both during his time as VP Student Life and prior through his clubs, is this a pattern that we should expect to see in his presidency and from the rest of the school spirit candidates?
Really good question. I think that the biggest thing I've always done is accept fault, but at the same time create a system to self-evaluate and grow. In terms of going to events, the society didn't have a procedure in place for how we interacted with clubs. After one club ultimately spoke about them not wanting sort of a political relation, what myself and the general office created was a system by which we would now be requesting to come to potential events. In terms of the team, these are individuals who are leaders in the community. Some are senators, some are presidents of clubs, some are involved in a wide range of responsibilities. So the cool thing about that is the fact that they themselves are mentors to me, as they seem to take me as their mentor, and really that is what I'm bringing to the table. The community knows my character.
Thank you.
I have a couple of specific questions for the candidates, so I don't know if you want to just go in order or
whatever.
Yeah,
Feel the best.
maybe you give us some time to think about it. So first, Coyote, you mentioned the word sustainability a couple of times in your platform and it's here. So I was just wondering what you understand by sustainability and how you see to play that, how you want to see that play out on the different campaigns. For the real team, one of the words that you're using is accountability. I'm just curious how that will look like and how exactly what types of accountability measures they will be in place, and also how that relates to council. For the two candidates in the middle, both of you have seemingly also criticized the SFSS and the work they were doing, and I'm curious how much experience you have working within the SFSS, which I don't think is necessarily a drawback if you don't really have. I think it's always really good to have new blood in the team too. But I'm curious as to how you see yourself dealing with this, given that the SFSS is a very bureaucratic system, difficult to understand if you're not familiar with it. And if you also have ideas on decreasing the bureaucracy and making it more accessible. So maybe also if you have any ideas on what exact measures you would take in order to make it more accessible to the students and alienate. And this is maybe also a question for all four candidates. How do you deal with this alienation that you see from politics or from people or from students towards the SFSS?
So we have time for one question per candidate. Would you like Coyote to answer his particular question and then the rest to answer your general, or would you like them all to answer your general question?
So I have to pick between the first.
Cool. The foundation for the what would be turned a club, for example, whereby a project manager would be hired with where
found out about it, or I hate something.
I didn't, I guess, trust and a vested interest in putting confidence in me. The reason why I'm running is because I don't want that to be in vain. I want to put my best foot forward and represent you guys to the best of my ability. I have great ideas. Thank you.
out for 4 hours. We appreciate it. We hope to see you tomorrow in the executive debate where you